Skull and Bones gang. I know you're very involved. What's the history behind that? Someone asked me here, and I gave them a very bad answer.
Maybe it wasn't so bad. But the Northside Skull and Bone gang and Skeletons in New Orleans have been around for more than 200 years.
Okay.
We come out masking on Mardi Gras morning on that Carnival day, pre-dawn, and we come out and honor our ancestral spirits. We wake the city up. We have fun and pageantry, but we also bring strong social messages to people about overindulgence in life. We denounce things like violence, gunplay, drugs, violence against children, women, and men, all humans. And we remind people to live a good, productive life, because the word is you next. And everybody's going to be in the Skull and Bone gang at some point. So stop tripping and do things that are like in a good way that doesn't bring down your friends, family, neighbors, and, and all those people who passed on before you. So while we're having a whole lot of fun, we do that also. And we're kind of like the literal meaning of Carnival, the shedding of the flesh. So when people see us, it's like looking into a mirror, actually. So how you feel about life and death is like an immediate reaction.
Welcome to Above the Legal Limit. I'm your host, Justin Chopin, business owner, lawyer, dad, world's best husband, traveler, and adventure seeker. On this podcast, we mix business with pleasure. We'll dive into growth strategies, entrepreneurial adventures, the business of law, and prove that business isn't boring. So let's get ready, because we are going above the legal limit. Welcome to Above the Legal Limit. So today's guest, this is something pretty cool. There are those times in being a business owner where you're like, am I doing anything right? Does any of this work? Sometimes someone will see your billboard. They're like, oh, I love your billboard. That feels good. But there's, or you have an awesome hire and you're like, this is an awesome hire. Today's like one of those days, because I've got Sunpie on Above the Legal Limit. So I love Sunpie and the Sunspots. I love what you guys are doing. Today is a very extra special day. We always say that, we're like, I'm a very special guest, but it's usually bullshit. But like this time I really mean it. We have an extra special guest. So, hey, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Sunpie.
Thank you for having me.
So you probably don't remember me, but 20 years ago, I was in law school, and my professors used to be in a band called A La Ba. And eventually they all broke up. I never got a good reason. I don't know why. I felt like I needed a reason, but I was like, I want to know. So they all broke up, and we were trying to revitalize I did all the social planning for the law school, and we were trying to get a party together called Mardi Law. And so my professor was like, hey, we're not going to do it. I was like, well, but you should. And he's like, yeah, but we're not going to. And it's like, well, who am I going to call? And so he says, you should call Sunpie. And I was like, well, I don't know who that is. And then so we called you with like no notice at all. We're like a bunch of dumb kids in law school. We had no money. But you guys agreed to do it. Y'all were like, hey, it was so cool. And it was a lot of fun. And y'all played at the law school. And
I remember that.
And but I've always, ever since then, I remember, and I go watch you at Dos Jefes. I'm still 20 years later, we're very appreciative of that. You guys with no notice. There was some money, but like very like insulting money, but that wasn't my fault. I was just a law school kid. They gave us like no budget, but yeah, so that was the first time we met.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then there are a lot of things. So I follow you on Instagram, and I've learned, didn't correct me now if I'm wrong, but you used to you played ball in the NFL, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're also a ranger.
Yeah, I worked for the National Park Service for quite a long time.
Yeah, right. And a photographer, because I've seen some shots, right? You're in the band, Sunpie and the Louisiana Sunspots.
Yeah.
You guys still playing?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Okay. You still play Dos Jefes frequently?
Play all the time.
All the time. I haven't been out there in a million years. Once I got kids, my kids refuse to smoke cigars and go hang out in a bar.
Put them out in the, you get them outside. They've got that outside area. I recommend that for kids under 10.
My 8-year-old.
Yeah.
And then we have, which is particularly relevant right now, it's coming up, is the North Side. I always, and I have to read it because I always say Skull and everyone reminds me that I'm saying it wrong. Skull and Bones Gang. So since it's Mardi Gras, doesn't feel like Mardi Gras yet, but it is.
Yes, it do.
Not to to you, I bet it does.
Depends on what.
You're a busy man these days.
That's right. I just got up from making stuff. Making dead man suits for Carnival. Yeah. So. Yeah,
you're in the thick of it.
Short sprint.
Yeah. Well, this is a short season.
Yeah.
So we gotta get all the king cake we can get and get all the. Obviously, someone was just emailing me about a parade that I ride in and then trying to make plans, and I'm like, we got plenty of time, and he said, no, you don't. You got to do it now. So I'm like, all right, fine.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Skull and Bones Gang. I know you're very involved. What's the history behind that? Someone asked me here, and I gave him a very bad answer.
Maybe it wasn't so bad, but the Northside Skull and Bone Gang and Skeletons in New Orleans have been around for more than 200 years.
Okay.
We come out masking on Mardi Gras morning on that Carnival day, pre-dawn, and we come out and honor our ancestral spirits. We wake the city up. We have fun and pageantry, but we also bring strong social messages to people about overindulgence in life. We denounce things like violence, gunplay, drugs, violence against children, women, and men, all humans. And we remind people to live a good, productive life while they have a chance. Because the word is you next, and everybody's going to be in the Skull and Bone Gang at some point. So, stop tripping and do things that are like in a good way that doesn't bring down your friends, family, neighbors, and and all those people who passed on before you. So while we're having a whole lot of fun, we do that also, and we're kind of like the literal meaning of Carnival, the shedding of the flesh. So when people see us, it's like looking into a mirror, actually. So how you feel about life and death is like an immediate reaction. So some people run, absolutely. Doesn't matter what the age is. They are very much shook up by the concept of death, and even like having to deal with it in some kinds of ways. And for others, it's the opposite. So, they like to remember those people, friends, family, loved ones who passed on throughout the year or throughout the years. So they come out for it. But, I guarantee you, if you come out to where we're going to be at 2500 Bayou Road, we're coming out of the place called I Am That I Am. That is a confluence of one of the oldest meeting points in New Orleans. So Bayou Bienvenue, Bayou Gentilly, and Bayou St. John all split off from there. And, Native American people were coming there from as far as Canada more than 2,000 years ago to this space, trading goods and doing all kinds of ceremonial things. So it's kind of like an archaeological site also in terms of like what's in the city. And it's on the oldest road and really the kind of old portage portion of where the city is. So y'all come on out. We'll be out there 5 o'clock in the morning, 5 a.m. I'll set the alarm for you. I'm going to set an alarm for the whole city so y'all don't be making excuses. We can talk about it on Ash Wednesday, like when the bells ring off in your head, but
in my youth, I lived uptown. I don't live there anymore because it got too hard with a growing family. But I was, like many, young, dumb, stupid, and drunk and hungover. And so the Skull and Bones Gang wouldn't come by where I lived, but But there is another early morning marching crew, like Pete Fountain's, group.
Steppers.
Yeah, and they'll kind of traverse around some streets uptown, and I have this vivid memory of being. I remember my buddy being like, "Are you hungover?" And I was like, "No, I can't be." He's like, "Why?" He's like, "Because that would presuppose that I'm no longer drunk. I'm somewhere between, and I'm in the shadow."
You made sure you were. So
I was like, I'm definitely not hungover yet. It's in the future. I don't know where I'm at. I'm miserable is where I'm at. And I remember, early. It probably wasn't that early because I was young. I thought it was early.
It was early. They used to start in my backyard. So right at the corner of Laurel and Henry Clay.
Yeah. So right. Yeah. So I used to live right there too. Okay. Interesting. I also used to live on. I rented a house. It was on Constance and Henry Clay. So that's probably all right. So it was
they literally started right there underneath my bedroom window.
I remember
all those non-sobering moments. I know,
like laying in bed thinking like, "Oh dear God!" But there is something nice about it, like that is like pure Mardi Gras to me, of being like really needing 3 more hours minimum of sleep, but then hearing that clarinet and like kind of this and the revelry outside. Drawing you back in for that one last time, one last hurrah of Mardi Gras. Even though you should have been done 2 weeks ago, you got no more business doing this.
You have to finish though. It's a professional move to.
Right, you got to see it through.
Thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you got to see it through. So all right, y'all. So it's 5 a.m. on Mardi Gras Day. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so I confess, I've actually never been out there. My family goes out there. I've never done it. When COVID hit and they canceled Mardi Gras, we did something I'd never done before. We were like, you know what? Let's get out of here, because I don't want to just sit around and be depressed and like eat pity king cake. It was COVID. We got in the car and we drove and we took the kids and we went on vacation, and it was really nice. And so I was like, man, I felt like a little bit like a hypocrite, but it started a new tradition in my family. So we'll do it all. And then on Lundi Gras, we do leave now. And so because my kids are off of school anyways, so I'm either having to stay home to take care of them or like hire someone so I could come work to pay the person that I hired to watch the kids. It's just like they cancel each other out. So I haven't gotten to see it, but it's where you were explaining where it was. And so I've lived here my whole life and I'm not familiar. I certainly know where Bayou St. John and those bayous, but.
Yeah. So Bayou Road, 2500 Bayou Road is at the confluence of Bayou Road and North Durgenois.
Okay.
So it's right there on that corner.
Gotcha. And, all right. Well, I'm not going to get to make it this year, and I'm kind of bummed about it because we're going to be in Colorado, but it sounds like a lot of fun. Are you going to go? You should go. She's Breland. So Breland's our director of operations. So you met before. She came to my office yesterday and she was like, "Hey, listen, can I come meet Sunpie?" And I was like, yeah, you can come on in. She should have stayed. She's definitely going. She goes every year. She's like, she's never missed a year since she's here. Yeah. But I love the way you describe it, right? I mean, that's a very ancient sort of imagery of death, the skeletons, right? So you see it in architecture. You see it in even old, like Caravaggio or something, like old, Italian painters of that reminder. Right. I talk to the guys about it all the time. I said, if your problem is you haven't realized that you're about to die. And once you come to terms with that, it can change your perspective. I think everyone needs to know that life is fleeting. And it is the pure essence of life is that it is fleeting. That's what it means.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Get over yourself.
Right. I told a lawyer once here, she, was like, they weren't saving all the documents. So this is like real lawyer talk. Like, you're not going to save all the documents. And I told her, I said, you know why this doesn't stress you out? She's like, why? I was like, because you haven't realized that you're going to walk out of this building and get tagged by like an 18-wheeler and you're going to be dead. And everyone looked at me like I was being a jerk. And I was like, my point is, I was like, the case is still going to be there. You just won't be. You'll be somewhere else. And so we have to protect our clients, and that means understanding that your time is limited here. The case will go on forever. Right. If you're not here. So, but I love that, and I think it plays well with Mardi Gras too, right? So we're really stretching the limits on what may be normal, socially acceptable, healthy, but reminding Mardi Gras Day, like, hey, this is a fleeting moment.
Yeah.
Because tomorrow the ashes come.
That's
and,
right. Yeah.
And you got to start.
Definitely all of that, and that's the concept of it, and how we keep it traditional. Drum, sing, chant, do all those things, and we have a healthy group of folks that come out with us.
Are you guys all having fun from the night before, or
depends. I'm on a mission by the time I get to that part, so I'm deadpan serious, but I'll have my fun. I just know how to reel it in and be for that, doing that kind of masking, because it's spirit calling and everything else. Then that's a more serious thing. But
okay,
later on
maybe.
Everything is possible on Mardi Gras Day. You can do anything you want.
You can't do anything you want on Mardi Gras
other
Day.
than your natural self.
I used to have a knack on Mardi Gras Day. I could always get a coconut.
Yeah.
But you really got to put yourself out there. You can't be bashful. You're going to have to. You want a coconut, you commit to it.
That's it.
You got to.
That's what so
and
many
be willing to step outside of your comfort zone. It's like being a salesman. You really got to sell yourself to get a coconut. We used to go out there every morning.
That's Carnival in New Orleans. It's unusual from it's mostly self-determination that makes it happen. People are committed to doing it, even if it's like 5 people that come out dressed as milk cows on Mardi Gras Day. They commit to that, and that's what they stick to. So New Orleans is beautifully unique in that way, and it's not regulated to one main avenue. There's stuff going on simultaneously everywhere, all over the city, and that's the beauty of it. In other places, it's much more. We have 2 avenues that you're going to go, and so we have that portion of it, but there's so much more going on in terms of the celebratory part of it, house to house, door to door, neighborhood to neighborhood. It's what we do best.
Right. Well, so my other tradition for Mardi Gras is like once the Mardi Gras Day parades have rolled, I'm done. I shut down physically, emotionally, spiritually. Like, I'm done. And so I go and I sit on my couch and I eat Popeyes. It's the one day a year I'm allowed to eat Popeyes. I'm looking for all 364 days out of the year.
That don't even taste good to me.
I mean,
get to the season.
I know you gotta. That's when I get it,
Right.
and I'm very serious about it. And now that we leave town, it's really depressing because my kids all know, like, oh, Daddy, you never, But you always say we're gonna have it, and then we never get to have it. And I was like, because I only have it on Mardi Gras Day, and then I turn on like WYES. And my wife, and it's always the same history of Mardi Gras, and it's been the same. I guess the Labords are narrating WYS, and they're just talking about the same. I don't think that show has changed my entire life, but it's always. And my wife's not from here; she's from Indiana, and so she's like, "Oh my God, why are we watching this?" I'm like, you need to stop right now. You're really killing the vibe. But what's fun about it is. And moving past some of like the parades, but there's always these different marching crews, and certainly we've got everyone knows the Indians, and they're out there, but then you have these other ones like the baby dolls, like the one, and there's like so many of these different groups are out there. Some I hear about that I'd never even heard of before. Ones you may not even know about. And that's always remarkable too. Like there's like 100 people doing this, and I never knew anything about it. And they're like, "How long you been doing that?" Oh, 100, 200 years. Right. And they're like, "Wait, what?"
That's New Orleans. That's how it goes.
So when I told the guys that you were coming today, one of them wanted me to ask you. They were like, because I've seen you play at Jazz Fest, and you've played with some really famous musicians, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, they played with me.
Oh, there you go. I love that.
See,
They called you. You didn't call Paul Simon, right? They had to reach out to you.
I did not call him, but he did call me. He had miraculously somehow he had my number. He actually called me on my government phone. I was like, who is this dude?
Yeah, right. I would be like, no, what?
Worked out though. Yeah.
I remember when you were playing when Paul Simon played with you, because I'm a huge Paul Simon fan.
Yeah.
And we play it a lot in my house. My kids just think that that's like the first musician they ever knew. Like the first song my daughter ever heard was from his later album. And so we were rooting you on because I thought that was pretty cool. Did you get to go on? Were you on tour?
Yeah, I did some long, world tours. We did like 50 country tours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I was shocked when I saw the size of the band that he had playing. And it was a big band.
Well, that was a combined band of Paul Simon and Sting together. So it was, the kind of long tours that we did were, it was Paul and Sting together. So it was 18-piece band, 17 pieces. Yeah.
Is that fun? I mean, I know that's a stupid question, but it
was fun. It was, it's a lot of work, rehearsed every day, forever. But that's how you make it sound right.
Sure.
And playing those songs, if you go out and play 30 absolute hits every night. We played arenas mainly, just in venues around the world, all over Europe, all over all kinds of places. So yeah, I mean, it was always a thrill to do it and playing some of my own favorite things. Playing in a band with, it's like 6 or 7 people in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the band.
Right.
So all a thrill.
And all great musicians in their own right. Every piece of that band. So we went to his farewell tour when it came to New Orleans. And I was like, well, I don't go to concerts a lot. So I was like, if I'm going to Paul Simon, like this is like, we're like front and center. I'm dialed in on this. And I couldn't believe them. The artistry of every single musician up there was top of their game. I don't know the guy with he had like the big lamb chops, and he would just watch him cycling through so many different instruments in one show.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what's he playing now? I was like, I don't even know what that is.
That's Mark.
But he's a cool guy.
Oh yeah.
And
he
so
still comes down and hangs out in New Orleans. Yeah.
Yeah. And we went to his actual farewell. That was his farewell tour, and then he did it over again. So we went to his extra farewell tour.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is the farewell tour. And,
that was the Lagniappe tour.
The Lagniappe farewell tour.
Yeah.
So who's the most famous musician that's ever played with you? If you have to pick one.
Wow. I mean, I've had the pleasure being on stages with all kinds of people. So I wouldn't say there's like a more famous, but some of definitely Paul Simon, Sting, those cats were great, playing with Willie Dixon, father of Chicago blues, probably definitely in my early career. He's the one who helped me get in Jazz Fest the first time when nobody really knew me, but I was playing with him, doing some great music projects, and that kind of propelled me into becoming a real New Orleans musician and being able to see myself, not just in the dream world, but
like a reality.
But the reality of playing with cats like that. Yeah, becoming good friends with like the Fish Band, those folks like that. Carlos Vives, who's coming back this year. But, Peter Frampton, the Stones, all them cats, they all.
That's what they were talking about. This. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so,
Peter Frampton,
a lot
really
of that.
Cool too. I didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot of great bands that travel, like, like Sunny Ade and all these, these great. Oh man, music. The musical world is, it's been my passport to the universe. So it's a great thing to still be doing it and to be able to like bring, joy to people and be able to like learn new things to share and like, like what's out there in the world right now that's happening, and then play some timeless things that, they always work. So that's the good part.
Right.
That's kind of like, that's what Mardi Gras is. That's why you're still going to see Peggy Scott LaBoy when you turn on that TVs, because they got that game down.
Right.
And they're going to make it happen. And
I can't imagine anybody else telling me about, the history of Mardi Gras. I wouldn't be able to pay attention. It's like watching the weather I mean, I can't just have anybody tell me the weather.
True.
If I don't know who you are, I'm like, I don't even know this guy.
Right.
You don't know the weather, you know?
Yeah, they gotta get it right. That's why you have Popeyes on Mardi Gras Day.
That's it, you know?
Yeah.
So I make it my mission to try to teach my kids about music. I'm not a musician at all, but I love music. And so this last Christmas, I had B.B. King's Christmas album that he had come out with, you know, back in, I guess, 25 years ago or so. And my son was just like, wow, what is this? And I was like, well, funny, you should ask. I was like, it's about time we start talking about the blues, right?
Yeah.
You know, and so I started playing him some B.B. King, and, you know, he's got a lot of opinions. He was like, well, I like this. You know, he's like, I don't love that Christmas album. I was like, well, that's all right. He was having fun. You know, I love that album. I listen to it all. It doesn't have to be Christmas, and I'll play that album sometimes.
Right.
And I played some John Lee Hooker, you know, on the late stuff, you know, one of his last albums. He didn't like that. He didn't. That was too far for him, like The Healer or whatever. He didn't, you know, but
he'll get there. It's in his ear.
So I just, you know, every now and then I'll be like, I think it's important. You know, we're going to take Sabrina Carpenter off the radio for a second. We're going to educate you kids on some good music. Well, cool. All right. Well, you got to make it out to Skull and Bones. I always mess it up and say Crossbones, and then people correct me. And so I don't know why it's like incorrectly imprinted in my brain.
It happens.
But North Side, Skull and Bones gang. It's 200 years. 200 years. Is that
Bone with no S on it?
There you go. So, Skull and Bone. All right.
North Side, Skull and Bone gang. Yeah.
See, it's even written wrong. I had to write it down because I was messing it up and then I wrote it wrong. So is that you know, you said that area is where, you know, dates back Native Americans. But it's 200 years. It's just sort of a confluence of sort of like Native American culture and the more historical like slave culture of the Deep South kind of converging here.
Yeah, African culture here in New Orleans, you know, it's kind of been the wheel and the driving force for, you know, so many different things and genres of music and, you know, the Carnival celebration is Carnival. You know, we have, you know, layers and layers and layers of years of just Carnival music, you know, here in New Orleans, like other great places that, you know, have been serious about celebrating, but, you know, the styles and genres of music like jazz, which spread throughout the world very, very rapidly.
Jazz is huge. In other parts of the world.
Jazz is the one style of music that, you know, practically the whole world could find itself in and have a voice in, and because of the way it's set up. And that really comes out of these genres of music that were like folk music here, like Carnival celebration and things like that. When you hear the and people come here all the time to dive into it and try and decipher it and you know, just feel it really. Like the jazz education conference is just wrapping up here. It's been here this week. The International Folk Festival starts next week, right down the street in the Sheraton Hotel. So, you know, New Orleans is still a mecca for music and culture. And largely, a great deal of it is wrapped around the Carnival season and what people have done throughout the years, and then, you know, the in-between.
And it's fascinating to see it. It still exists. It's revitalizing itself. It's replenishing itself. And so as the older people, it's like you see like Kermit Ruffins, and then you see like Trombone Shorty is, you know, hugely popular. And then so we were very fortunate. We had the founder of Roots for Music here last month, and he was telling me about his program. And teaching the kids.
It's the same.
I couldn't, you know, and I was like, that's amazing. That's amazing that we're doing that. And you know, teaching them about, you know, jazz or instruments, or even just discipline in life, you know, and the discipline in music.
Yeah. And so musical institutions in New Orleans are different than other places. It's not, you know, sometimes people will say a formal education is like they think of a school or something like that, but really, here, the formal educations are those programs like Derek have, or like the one that I was doing, you know, teaching traditional jazz to young people and having them learn it from, you know, I had kids that were 9 years old learning trumpet, playing with Lionel Furbos. He was 100 years old. Oh, wow. So they're getting a direct, you know, transmission of information that's, you know,
right. It's like learning from the surgeon who developed the,
who made the
that
scalpel
procedure,
in the first
right?
place.
I mean, you're getting it from the source.
So we're getting it from the source, and that's why New Orleans is so vibrant and still alive. And we don't throw anything away when it comes to like carnival celebration or that concept of what it is. The oldest songs are like the ones that have stuck and that you're always going to hear, and that's what people love the best. It's like Popeye's red beans and rice. They, everybody cooks it, but they want that flavor because that is the flavor. That's
right.
the cultural memory that they have on Mardi Gras Day.
You don't want
before the strike of midnight. They're like, okay, I'm done now. I've eaten way too much Popeyes, and now I got to.
Got a whole year of penance.
Yeah, for him it'll be all that king cake he's going to eat.
Not one king cake. It's embarrassing. I would have at least lied and been like,
you're gonna have it.
I would have at least lied and said, yeah, I've had king cake.
No, there's no validity in that. Like, it's
wow.
We can see he didn't.
All right, you'll get some today because we're gonna taste some king cake later.
Yeah.
Shocking admission. Like you could have said anything else, and I would have been perfectly fine with it. All right, so this is just first one. All right, well, get ready.
Put your seatbelt on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a marathon now. You can't, now on these short seasons. So when it's a long season Mardi Gras, I refrain from king cake until we get a little bit further in. Otherwise, you just almost have to. But on the short season, pedal on the gas, baby. Like I didn't even bother with dry January. I was just like, man, there's just no point. I already got, I'm sure that's the reason. That's what I told my wife, and she rolled her eyes. So I think that means she agreed with me.
She hooked up.
So I'll tell you the best about jazz is one of the coolest lessons I ever saw was going to watch a jazz show in Switzerland. And I was 20, and so I didn't know anything about anything. And but I was in this jazz show, and I was like, wait a minute, you guys got jazz too? And luckily, no one really heard me or spoke English, so I was fine. But it's true. It's like one of those languages that I was floored, and it was an amazing show. I mean, you could have been here or Chicago or anywhere.
Great jazz and Ascona Festival and all those places.
I couldn't believe it.
Long time jazz lovers.
So very, very cool. Well, all right. Well, hey, I am super honored that you came here today. I know you're a busy man because you're like the true Renaissance man here.
For having me, man.
So I know if you've got that many pots in the fire, you're a busy man. So Skull and Bone, Northside Skull and Bone Gang, Mardi Gras morning. I don't say Fat Tuesday. Everyone always says, you mean Fat Tuesday? And I was like, I don't know. We never said that. We just said Mardi Gras Day.
Right. That's what it is.
But for you other folk out there, if you're not sure what I meant by that, it is Tuesday morning, the Mardi Gras Day, Fat Tuesday at 5 o'clock in the morning. Come ready to heal. And then otherwise, man, see you around because Sunpie's everywhere.
I will be there. I'm gonna hit it. We've finishing up stuff for the Skull and Bone Gang, playing music, doing all kinds of stuff. It's oyster mushroom season in South Louisiana, so doing a lot of that also.
Like wild mushrooms?
Wild mushrooms. I'm
fascinated by that because I always have to think, who was the first one to be like, I know Bob died when he ate that mushroom.
Me, they gave it to him. They stood around watching. Say, let's see what happens.
We're gonna line them up, and they're like, so 50% of everyone died on those, but this one looks pretty tasty. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, they all look tasty until they
until they're not.
Might taste good. You just got to wait 72 hours and see what happens. So that's the process. Take a very tiny portion and
whoever first did that is a brave guy. Or desperate, I suppose. I suppose you could just be desperate and hungry. I didn't know we were in mushroom season. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, it's kind of continuous around here, but this is like one of the main core parts of it is the early January into spring. So there's a lot of great mushrooms.
What do we grow? Where are we seeing locally? Like, what are our mushroom varietals?
Well, those oyster mushrooms are like that you go to, these local restaurants or grocery stores and see everywhere. A lot of people are like growing them in, hydroponic type situations also, but the wild ones are like, that's where it's at. That's the best, So, they're on the willow trees, black willow.
Uh-huh.
They grow on Tupelo, pecan. I mean, you can get in a kayak and go out in the swamps and probably get 40 pounds in 40 minutes easy.
Oh, wow.
Which would probably be like $3,000 worth of mushrooms in the grocery store. But, you know, I do it for my own.
You don't have to have a license to hunt
pleasure.
for mushrooms.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. Well, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah,
I'm so excited to have you here. Yeah. Bruce Sunpie Barnes. So thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Thank you for joining me today on Above the Legal Limit. If you enjoyed the show and you want to hear more about business and law, hit that subscribe button. If you didn't like the show, keep it to yourself. Remember, there's no limit to what we can achieve. We will see you next week. Until then, even though we're above the legal limit, let's drive safely. Cheers, everyone.